Tommies and Teddys and Terrys and Teresas. We ain't done with you. We Wild Wolves Wild on a Friday front court forechecking and football feast. We have a bevy of talkbacks we're going to sprinkle in during the course of the radio show, including during this segment with Alec Lewis of The Athletic and theathletic.com, card-carrying member of the Left Covenant, and we're grateful for it, at Alec_Lewis via the X machine. So I'm watching the Wolves game, and I'm looking at Twitter, and you skipped the game last night, didn't you? Because you didn't tweet. I mean, you watched the game, right?
I was in the arena for the game.
You were at Target Center.
What in the hell are you doing?
John Krasinski, one of the best beat writers in the country, helped me get a credential.
Y'all might have 1 and 1A with Russo Radio.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Why do you think I moved up here? I just ride these guys. I was in the arena. I had a credential. And I walk in and you hear Io's not going to play. Shams puts that on social media. You hear Kyle Anderson's sick. Ant's not playing. And so I'm thinking man, I passed up the opportunity of drinking beers on the couch and watching both games. And now this is going to be a blowout. What am I really doing with my life? And then it was, as anyone listening would know, just electrifying in every sense. It was.
Finchie said the arena was second to none, was it?
I would love to hear from people who have spent a lot of years and time in that arena. But I'm getting chills down my spine in the first quarter when Terrence Shannon is flexing with every 70 muscles in his body after going straight line. There was a point, and
Bucky?
I just had to say that in the fourth quarter. There's a point where Rudy's swatting left-handed wraparound passes in the corner.
That?
And I'm looking at the arena and I'm thinking what would my 9-year-old self think of the opportunity I have to be in this place right now?
The same thing your 26-year-old self thinks of it.
Yeah, but it was just so special in there. You got Guardseed sitting next to A-Rod. You got Jeff Anderson next to Ryan Munnins. It was incredible in every sense.
Okay, so you were at the game. There was no tweeting during the game. So I made the assumption you were not at the game, even though I didn't text you. But you're saying you had a credential, which means you sat in the spectacular corner angle media area, 15 feet from the floor. I'm on my Athletic app right now, looking for that sidebar.
Yeah, where's the Stringer story?
Where's the Terrence Shannon Jr. who, what, where, when, and why?
Well, honestly,
5,000 word feature.
So I actually last year, before one of the playoff games, I talked to a coach in Illinois about Terrence Shannon, and I didn't. So last night,
Brad Underwood?
No, not an assistant, a former assistant, and we had a great conversation.
How is Lefty Drizel?
Yeah, so there was an opportunity there, but it was 1 a.m. and I've done so much draft stuff over the last 4 days that I'm probably this might not be the night, and it was kind of late in the game when everyone's clearing out for Terrence Shannon. That's kind of, I was I'll let John do this masterpiece, and I saw his story just published 30 minutes ago, and I imagine it's just exceptional in every sense. But
yeah, it's right next to your sidebar on Rudy Gobert almost having his first triple-double.
Look, you can't just hop in. Look,
you had a credential.
Yeah, but next round, now that I know the arc of where this is going,
You're going to San Antonio, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But boy,
you're not going to San Antonio to transcribe Bones Highland quotes for Johnny K?
Listen, if The Athletic and theathletic.com and Steven Ginsburg wants to fly me to San Antonio to watch Wemby against Rudy, I am not declining that offer.
Charlie Swanson of Lexus of YZ, I believe, just sent me a text. Of what you said, the arena hasn't felt like that since the first game D'Lo played. So he's definitely telling us the arena was unbelievable.
I'll say, too,
I'm wondering, Charlie, can I get one of those JG seats?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, I will say, I kept looking down there to see what guards is he comfortable next to A-Rod? He's got his arms folded. I was very locked in on that as well as the game. But the one thing about it, too, that I will say is how engaged everyone in the arena was just on the basketball. You felt just the level of intelligence of the people in that arena and and that they understood the stakes of it all.
Yeah.
That part of it was so cool to me. I will remember that night forever because of how special it was in that building, legitimately. And I don't think that's hyperbolic.
Well, it's crazy too. And you were maybe at the arena already and saw this. They're announcing that the Wild had clinched and were moving on. So you have that eruption. And I imagine, I mean, when the Wolves, they were bad for so long that it's either the butt of a joke or an afterthought. But Hoops fans in this town are smart and they love this team. And when the getting is good, they're all in. But when it didn't completely go the wrong way early.
Yeah.
When Terrence Shannon Jr. is emphatically slamming, when Rudy is on the cusp or in route to a potential triple-double, when they're hitting those shots, I imagine that Target Center is like, what are we doing here? We have something. And the fan base got paid off last night. I just imagine that not completely flopping on your face, specifically in the first half of the first quarter. That fan base was locked in from there on out.
Yeah, and it was just like the effort in every sense. You got deflected passes. You got offensive rebounding. You got Rudy, guarding at the elbow, dropping down to the paint, getting beat, swat. I mean, it was every aspect of it was so cool. Mike Conley making, the what he's done for 20 years, that right arm floater in the lane. Like,
teardrop.
It was so impressive. I just don't know.
How about Finchy and I had a conversation very early this morning, played it in the opening segment, going to play it back an hour and change from now. The way I laid it out with him, and you saw it live, man. I saw it on TV. You saw it live. Fresh legs, Terrence Shannon Jr. How fast was he off the dribble? Now, these Nuggets are L's on defense. We've known it all season. Jaden McDaniels put us on that. I mean, Shannon blew by those guys like they were tied to a post.
And every time he scored, it was flexing. I'm like, can your bicep pop? Because if he's flexing this hard consistently, at some point the tricep snapping or something. It was, and the straight line drive for him when he goes downhill.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like Bijan Robinson going down. I mean, it was it's a lightning bolt when he puts his head down to the rack, and it was cool. Like I would watch in and out of timeouts, and it felt like Pablo Prigioni, the assistant, every time was just like, keep going directly at them. Like
Pablo Prigioni coaching as you sat next to Pablo Torres with a credential not covering the game, which is beautiful.
Well, it was funny. I was sitting next, and this kind of speaks to Nordo's point, but it was probably first quarter. They've got like a 6-point lead. I'm sitting next to Jason Quick, who's covered the Trailblazers for us for so long and is a senior writer for us, and he's so good at his job.
Well, he wanted to be there to see what good defense looked like?
That's rude. That's highly Tiago Splitter.
They got
would not
Drew Holiday's a good defender, but anyway.
But Jason turns to me, he's like, this town is so special. Every time I come here, I love this place. And I was like, it's funny you say that. I moved from Alabama. I'm thinking, man, I'm moving to the North Pole. And I just, when you get the opportunity to be with this sports fan base in an opportunity like that, how could you not like pinch yourself? So I'm probably acting like they won the finals, but it was that special of a night in there.
Right. I mean, they're 6-point dogs. They're down Dante, Ant, Slow-Mo, and Ayo Dosunmu, who chewed up the Nuggets most of this series. I brought that up with Finchy, too. It's like on the outside, when we all learned about these omissions, I mean, yeah, there were people who were concerned. What was the feeling like on the inside? And he had some interesting answers to that. But part of it was, I told the coaches, no Daubers down. No, everybody's positive. We got to come into this thing positive in this covenant. And the Timberwolves have made the playoffs 5 consecutive years with Chris. They have, in the last 3 years, they have 22 playoff wins. They had 21 the previous 30-some-odd years. Man, Finchy's doing good work.
I mean, the thing about Finch that I appreciate is like he is always himself. On the sidelines, on the bench, when he is frustrated. He's got his hands in his pockets, and you can tell he's surly and he's pissed.
Finchy.
Like he is. And in those film sessions at times, I mean, I want John to do a story where he spends a day in the film session just to hear the amount of vulgarity spoken after one of their poor performances, because I think it would just be exceptional. But the winning that he has done and that team has done and Rudy Gobert has done just can't be taken for granted at this point, given, the amount of winning and the amount of teams they've beaten, big game. Like they show up when they're challenged.
But I know we were going to kind of maybe pivot, but I did want to do one last thing on Finch. Here he is post-game, because we were talking about Terrence Shannon Jr. and him handling the ball, him handling the moment in totality. And I thought this was a bit illuminating from Finch here. Let's listen.
It was incredible. I thought he'd give us a boost. I didn't realize it would be like this. Not just, with his scoring, but I think he's made a lot of, emotional energy plays that got the crowd into it, played with force. He let it be known that he was going to be reckoned with, and just kept putting the ball in his hands. What we've learned with TJ is like, he's he's got to have the ball in his hands. It was, silly me. We played him out of the corner most of the season, but he's way better with the ball in his hands at the top of the floor.
I just thought that was him kind of acknowledging, like, I want to get him on the court, but when all are healthy, I ain't having TJ run the point. But I'm in a spot. Silly me. I got the ball in his hands. I put him in a spot where he can make plays, and Shannon was awesome last night.
And then Alec used his privileged credential and approached TJ after the game, asking for a sidebar, and TJ said,
"Get out of my face with that crazy stuff."
Meanwhile, on the other side of town,
thank you, St. Paul.
What about this guy?
Shane now trying to steer it free. Here comes the Boldy. Boldy lost the handle. It's Jamie Benn in the high slot for the Stars. He's hounded. Lost it to center. Boldy tip free. Not Boldy. In alone. He scores! A minute 31 to go.
That's a nice call, Joey.
To Minnesota. Late here in Game 6.
Thank you, St. Paul.
We have some Wolves and Wild talkbacks. We're going to drop in with Alec here. Also, Minnesota Vikings rookie camp is a week from today. We'll get into that momentarily. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Here's that cash thing.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to win some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Just go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword rich. You're not going to get rich with this, but if you win, it's maybe some nice walking around money with the keyword rich. Just enter it now at KFAN.com.
PA, Nordo, let's go, baby. Nikola Jokic, Jamal, we ain't worried about him. Murray, come on now. We got baby Kawhi, All-Star Jaden, season loading. Man, come on now. Let's get in some time to rest. Wolves in 7, calling it now. We got this. Let's go Wild 2.
Thank you, Minneapolis.
I'm not prepared to think about Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell.
I know.
I'm not ready to think about Keldon Johnson at this moment.
No, thank you.
What about the rookie, Harper?
Dylan Harper. I'm not really even ready to think about McKinnon and McCarr and Landeskog and Taves. We're just enjoying this moment. Why? Because it happens so you've lived here now, 5 years?
4, I think.
4, it feels like 6 MD, though.
Feels like 40.
But as well as anybody now, this market doesn't close on stuff like that frequently, and it did last night, so it gets the flowers.
No, and I think that's right. But this is my favorite time of year when really, since I've been here, it's fortunate. These teams are usually in the playoffs. The Wild obviously haven't won the first round, but when weather starts to get good, weekends are 65, 70 degrees, everyone's outside, teams are, everyone's pride in the team.
You're spending 60 at Smack Shack with MD.
No, but like, how could you not love? That's where people are. That's ridiculous. But yeah, 60 at Smack Shack. Try 140. They try to get a sponsorship on here.
Delicious lobster rolls, by the way.
Great lobster rolls. Great collard greens.
That's great.
But I mean,
cool spot
you
there,
start to have some of the beverages, and that bill runs high.
All right, let's everybody calm down. Let's take a brief respite. Let's have a brief radio sabbatical, a brief break from the frivolity of the Fantastic Voyage. Why? Because this day next week is rookie camp, and my guy Atticus Sappington, kicker for Oregon, he's going to be there. What does my brother Alec Lewis think about all that? Rookie camp, Atticus Sappington, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the draft was fascinating in terms of how the Vikings ended up going about it. Each player I've done a lot of work diving into, talking to people and stuff. So I can't wait to be out there, be out on the field. I mean, I can't wait for the workouts, see Kyler and see JJ and see, I'm as like.
So what workouts? What do you mean? So Friday's a single day rookie camp?
Yeah. I just mean over the next few weeks. I mean, there will be voluntary OTAs, mandatory mini camp, all that stuff. Like, I'm in a spot where this team, the construction of it is really interesting to me right now. So how it looks in the coming weeks is fun. But, I mean, I get to see Big Citrus.
Yeah, I get to see Atticus Sappington.
I get to see Atticus Sappington.
I can't believe you knew who he was.
Yeah, I watched
Oregon kicker, though.
Yeah, of course. When you watch a college football game, they're like, all right, out to make the game-winning kick, Atticus Sappington.
Oh, I mean,
you're not going to forget that.
That's what he does.
It's like his name from an Agatha Christie novel.
It's like he's made out of like a tree. Atticus Sappington. What is he? Is it made of moss? Like I don't know.
Wait till you see him. He is big like a tree. I've never told. I'm not going to go through the totality of the story, but have I ever told you?
No.
That I sat next to him on a flight from Minneapolis to Indianapolis for the combine, and we became BFFs on that flight. We talked for 2 hours straight about the Bible, Kenyon Sadiq, and Dylan Thieneman. So
How is Dylan Thieneman?
So now we text, we FaceTime, we talk about a lot of things. Atticus is my dog.
I mean, I look, like, I can't wait to watch Atticus
Sappington.
I can't wait to watch the punter from Georgia, Brett Thorson, the UDFA.
Yeah.
This guy was the Ray Guy Award winner.
Jeez. And how is Seth Vernon?
So not a position battle at the kicker spot,
Seth
though, right?
Vernon
I'm not ready to go down that road.
No, I don't believe so.
Too much positive with the Fantastic Voyage. I don't know why Atticus is there, but Atticus is there.
Seth
That's
Vernon.
all that matters.
I want to meet him.
For you to just bring up Seth Vernon, the UDFA punter from Portland State who looked like Josh Oliver.
Converted wide receiver. Atticus is faster. He's better.
Well, good. I hope he's not running, but okay.
Do you envision Caleb Banks being able to play every position on the defensive line? And if so, how can that help Flores' defense?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think like when he was initially drafted, because of his size at 6'6", 330, you think nose tackle. But this guy is so athletic and has such lateral movement that I think he fits best as in the football sphere. You'd call it a 5 technique where you're lined up probably on the inside shoulder of the tackle. Mm-hmm. You have him next to Andrew Van Ginkel. And I've said this, but you can envision a defensive line of Dallas Turner ripping around the edge, Jalen Redmond wreaking havoc, Dominique Orange, Big Citrus holding the point, Caleb Banks doing what he can do, and Andrew Van Ginkel. You start to really be interested in that. And there's a lot of ifs with all those guys, health, production, but that potential of what that could be, you could understand why Brian Flores and that team would be very excited about that.
What if Banks can play all the defensive line spots, end, tackle, end, whatever you call them? If he can play all three of those, think about this. Do you think it could be possible in a 3-down sequence? It's not where's Waldo, it's where's Caleb. It's like, wow, on first down, Caleb was there. Mm-hmm. Whoa, on second down, he's over there. Ooh, on third down, he's over there. They'll never see him coming.
Well, absolutely. And you know how Brian Flores operates. Like, depending on down and distance, he's going to have different personnel on the field. So if it's 3rd and long, you're probably going to have a 3-down set with a lot of DBs to cover the pass. And maybe Caleb Banks can be your nose tackle like Jihad Ward was a couple years ago, rushing the passer from the interior. So there's a lot of possibilities. And I think, like, I was talking yesterday to Ron Roberts, who was the DC at Florida, has been in college football forever. And he's like, what I would do is I would just load the other side and force opposing offenses to run the football at a light area of the line of scrimmage with Caleb, knowing that he would stop it. So you either run into the heavy box or you run into Caleb. And that's
all fine and dandy, but I think Brian has this thing more than covered, with all due respect to Ron.
No, it's not. I mean, no, I'm not saying Ron Roberts is, but
I know what you mean.
No, it's going to be, look, for him, for Caleb Banks, it's going to be about health and it's going to be about commitment every single day. And if they can maximize him in that way, he's got a lot of potential.
So I'm looking longingly at you right now, as you can tell. And it's
kind of weird.
It's radio, it's audio, so they can't see it. But why am I staring longingly at you right now?
I don't know.
Because it's the fastest you've ever played.
It feels
in the 4.5 years you've been here. And here's what I mean. Is you're getting credentialed for a Double Dagger Thursday, getting turned down for a TJ Shannon sidebar interview with him saying, get out of my face with that crazy stuff, and getting away with it a week removed from the fascination. And you know me, man, it's not like, who told you that? Where'd you get that? Bro, you could not have sniffed out Damon Claiborne, that Wake Forest running back. It couldn't have been done better. You told us about it. You explained it. It happened. And he's super fast. So that's why I'm looking longingly at you, because you're playing really fast right now. But with Claiborne, why do you think he went so deep in the draft?
Yeah, I think I said this on the air with you guys when we were in that little side office because they were doing construction.
Yeah.
The phrasing I used was, with Damon Claiborne, there's a lot of stuff with him.
Yep.
You know, I believe
But the stuff's not out there, and that's fine.
No.
But, I mean, at the end of the 2025 season, they lose to Duke by 17. All right? He had a couple of fumbles in the game, and then he and his family faced death threats after the game for a while. So it was a problem. It's a death threat, man. It's a problem. It's not a vuvuzela or a whistle in an ear. It's a death threat. And he got around it, you know? So that's like, you just don't read or hear that too often.
Well, I think part of it, in a position like mine, you hear a lot of things. Everyone has an incentive, okay? So you're always trying to sift through what is real, what is fair to a kid who is 22 years old. Imagine, you know, if everyone knew the stuff of my college experience, you know, from 18 to 22, I'm glad that that's not. So you just try to be fair to the player and the person. And I think the Vikings believe that his electricity as a runner and a potential pass catcher paired in a room with a lot of maturity will be really beneficial.
That's a great point, with Jones and Mason.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
And so I think, you know, we'll see if Damon Claiborne can get it from a consistency, a pass protection standpoint. All that's going to be a hurdle. But if he can, I mean, he is exciting to watch. And I've said this to you guys before. If you envision an offense with the explosiveness and the size and the versatility of Kyler Murray, Damon Claiborne, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, add a wide receiver 3, you got a healthy offensive line, you can squint and see why it would be worth being optimistic about what's possible. Now, there are a lot of ifs. A lot of those are going to have to go the right way. But if they do, you can understand why people could get excited.
So if Jawan Jennings came to the facility and left without a deal, well, that's probably not going to happen, right?
No, I don't think that's accurate. I don't believe that Jawan
That'd be
Jennings.
great if it happened.
I don't believe that Jawan Jennings ever came to Minnesota on Tuesday and Wednesday with the expectation that this is going to get done right now. For me, from what I understand, it was an exploratory type thing. You know, we don't know you. Let's get to know you. Let you get to know us. Let's see where you're at. What kind of role do you want? How much, you know, do you want to be the pass catcher because you've caught 70 passes in recent years in a season? Or are you willing to be the grimy, gritted out running, run blocker that you've been in the past. And so I've seen a lot of people be like, well, they let Juwan Jennings get out of the building. No, like it was never this hard line of demarcation. If anything, it was just an exploratory situation to see where he's at, for him to see where they're at. And then I wouldn't be surprised if it happened at some point, whenever that may be. I don't know if there's like a real pressing part of it.
Have you watched Juwan Jennings' film?
Yeah, I actually.
Well,
yeah.
I had a Kentucky Derby seminar last night at Canterbury, and there was a Niners fan who listens to 9 to Noon. I can't remember my man's name. He was very kind.
How is Kyle Shanahan?
Yep, he's doing quite well, thank you. But this actually was Tom Rathman. So Rathman came up to me and was like, I listened to your radio show, and I know that you want the Vikings to sign Juwan Jennings. I'm like, go on. And he said, well, I'm a Niners fan, and I can't wait for him to go. So I hope you guys do sign him. I'm like, wow, go on. And he said he drops so many passes. He's like, on third down, there's so many drops.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not 49ers deep dive third down guy with Juwan Jennings. I just know the totality of what he has presented all of his career. Not just with Ayuk, AWOL, and Debo gone, and Kittle in and out, and then your guy Tongus, emerging. He came through a lot last year, and as I think he's a born leader. He's a galvanizing guy within locker rooms. I know that for a fact. And in the run force, I mean, he just smacks you. And I think with a team potentially led by Kyler, somebody like that would help. But this guy's like, go ahead and take him. He drops too many passes.
Yeah, I mean, he's interesting because. And part of the reason early this week I went back to watch the film because I'm like, I have this perception of Juwan Jennings in my head of this enforcer at the point of attack, 7th round pick who's really developed and had a lot of success.
Yeah.
Now I watched the game. I think it was like week 10. They played the Rams on all 22. And I didn't think he had the run blocking intensity that I expected a guy like him to have. And I don't know how consistent that was over the course of the year.
Got it.
And so if you're the Vikings, I do think part of the exploration is, do you want to be the 70 catch guy, or are you okay being the 40 catch guy who is clearing out holes in the C gap? Like and so, and I can understand both. Like if you catch 70 passes, you're making more money. So, it's interesting. The other little layer of it, he's represented by Drew Rosenhaus. Jonathan Grenard, who the Vikings kind of did a solid in some ways, is also represented by Drew Rosenhaus. So you would think maybe there's a little malleability there considering the way the Vikings have operated.
With Vikings rookie camp a week from today, what do you think they have up their sleeve with the speedy beefeater Max Bredesen?
Yeah, I mean, Frank Smith, the Vikings assistant head coach, who was the offensive coordinator in Miami, just oversaw an offense that used a fullback 25% of snaps.
Wow.
And it was Alec Ingold. Alec Ingold.
Played that much?
Yeah, 25%. It was the second most in the NFL.
It must have played really well. They cut him right after the season.
Well, he must have played really well. I believe the Chargers went out and acquired him immediately because Mike McDaniel knew what he would bring.
So now they have, not to turn this into Chargers fan line, they now have Ingold and that monster Scott Matlock.
What about Tucker Fisk or something? They've got a billion of those guys.
Anyway.
So yeah, it'll be 32 personnel with Mike McDaniel. So I think part of it, and Max Bredesen, like this dude, there is not a more fun tape to watch of any of the guys they drafted for me because he is sifting across the line of scrimmage and just pummeling these edge rushers into the ground. And the people I've talked to who know him just like rave about what that guy is and can mean. So,
well, how is Jabril Peppers?
Jesse Minter is doing phenomenal in Baltimore. So I think that like the reaction of fullback in the 5th round.
Yeah.
But if you get a guy who is going to be a contributor for 10 years in the 5th round, you're probably doing just fine.
Actually, I believe he may have played 60 to 70% of his Michigan snaps at wing tight end. So not necessarily fullback guy, what if that's accurate and if that's where he plays? Like, what's that going to look like in O'Connell's offense?
Yeah, well, I mean, it means you can play him as like kind of an inline player, so it creates extra gaps next to the tackle, which helps the run fit. It probably can help cut back lanes with the outside zone. But like, I think Max Bredesen's pick is representative of a lot of what they wanted to do, which was add smarts, intelligence, toughness, production. And so, like, I just feel like I see a transition of we've got to be more gritty. We've got to be more physical at the point of attack. I think Keith Carter being the offensive line coach helps in that transition too. And I've said this, I can't wait when it's these summer workouts, these fall training camp practices. What does the offensive line day to day look like compared to what it used to look like? Are they, is it more physical than it has been? And what does that represent?
Is Vandermark, the former Bill, is he physical?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the guy's 6'7", 330. And I said this the other day. The tackle depth compared to last year. Last year was Darisaw, Brian O'Neill, Justin School, and Walter Rouse. Yep. Now you got Ryan Vandermark, who is a 6'7", road grader in the run game. And then you drafted a guy in Caleb Tiernan, who, I mean, we'll see what the upside is. So the depth at tackle is vastly improved. And again, I'm being real positive here. And so maybe
I wouldn't say like homerific positive. Is you're voicing excitement in what you do as a beat writer for something that is new, something that is different, and something that is fascinating.
And I do think, again, like with this specific team, there are going to be a lot of ifs that we talk about a lot. Health, certain, components of it. What does the edge rusher depth look like? Do they sign Juwan Jennings? If it's not him, who else? Like there are conversations to have, but I don't think there's any arguing the fact that the tackle depth is better.
All right, last one, 3.5 minutes, you get it all. What's new with the GM search, and what chance to win it do you give the interim Rob Brzezinski?
Man, this one is interesting, and I would say over the last 4 days, everybody around the league, I mean, I've gotten more texts from people of, what do you think's happening? What is their process? I'll start here. They hired a search firm, Turnkey, ZRG, which I'm sure you guys have heard.
And there was no search firm for Kwesi, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
Turnkey has participated in a lot of like the Atlanta Falcons searches. They were a part of that. They've worked with the Rams in the past. And so the Vikings are pairing that with a small advisory committee that
from inside the covenant,
internally. Yeah. And the question that I have with that advisory committee is, who is on that committee?
I don't care who's on the committee. It's who gets the last call. Who gets the call?
Well, I'd say who is the voice in Vikings ownership's ear that will speak the loudest? Is it Andrew Miller, the COO of the team, who participated in the hiring of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and had a major say there? Is it that, or is it a football person? Typically, you'd probably think Rob Brzezinski's voice should weigh heavily in ownership's ear. But if he's a candidate, then how does that work? If it's not Rob, is it Kevin O'Connell? Is it, another executive who are close with Rob Brzezinski? I mean, it is a difficult and interesting one. I'll say this. You asked about Rob. There is a lot of internal support for Rob. If Rob Brzezinski doesn't get the GM job, or if he is not elevated to president of football ops to change the structure a bit, I do think it's going to require a major climb for the new person to establish a level of trust internally. I say that.
Have you written about this? This is fantastic.
I've talked a lot about it.
Shoot.
I've laid out some of it. Externally, there are some candidates who are very interesting. The one guy who I have consistently heard and who everybody I've talked to has talked positively about is a guy in Houston, James Lightfoot. And he is their assistant.
Are you kidding me?
Assistant GM.
So we have a draft guy on 2-3 times up to the draft named John Harris. He's the Lieber for the Texans radio network. John Harris, he's the sideline analyst. Also has a draft website, footballtakeover.com. Used to be a scout in college football. I mean, the guy gets it. And he 2.5 months ago, like right after the combine, at the combine, we're talking about the GM bit. That's the name he said, hey, this guy's on the fast track. I hope you guys stay away from him because we'd like to keep him here. That's the first name that he said. What's the name again?
James Lightfoot.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, this isn't like Jimmy Sexton called Alec Lewis and said, hey, put my guy's name. I'm just telling you, I talked to executives, scouts.
Cook.
I was on the phone the other day with the Penn State GM.
Jeez.
And he asked me, he's like, hey, what do you think of this GM thing? I'm like, I don't know. Here's some names. He's like, that guy you just mentioned, Lightfoot, beast. Like, absolute. So, we'll see what happens here. For me, the idea of you elevate Rob, who understands all the dynamics. You add an evaluator who is an experienced guy in the scouting space, like a James Lightfoot, who has the connective ability with the coaching staff. That's probably the best path. But as I say that, Mark Wilf at the owners meeting said, we don't really want to change the structure, new president of football ops. I would hope they would consider that at this point, knowing what I know about all of that dynamics.
When are you going to write about all this?
See. I got to think about. I just rambled for 3.5 minutes. How am I going to put it in the whole story?
The marketing director would say you have so much good steam. The tease has been done here. Everybody's subscribing. Write about it now, honey.
Yeah, I look. This one is. I've thought a lot about it. I've talked to a lot of people about it. I've considered every aspect and side of it all.
That's sweet, and
it's an interesting one. It will be over the next few weeks. Very interesting.
All right, appreciate you stopping by. Enjoy.
Always fun.
Enjoy the weekend, and we will chat over the weekend. Thank you.
Yep.
Alec Lewis, The Athletic, theathletic.com, at Alec_Lewis via X, to the Wild and Winners next on KFAN. Joining us now, noted Kentucky Derby handicapper and analyst at Canterbury Park, and Wild fan Angela Hermann. Learn more about that. Follow her if you are so inclined, as 9 to noon does, via X at Angela Hermann 15, Angela Hermann 15. And Angela, good morning. It's your buddy Paul Allen. How are things?
Well, hello. I am calling you live from your parking spot at Canterbury Park, where we convened last night to talk Derby and watch Wild win and then watch Wolves win. What a morning to be joining you, and what a weekend to be a Minnesota sports fan.
Beautifully laid out. In fact, when our Derby seminar ended last night, you watched the final period of the Wild victory with Chuck and Neil and Mary and Mousy. How excited were you guys when your favorite hockey team bounced the Stars?
It's a little bit tough to watch it at work. If you were watching the game there, you have to censor yourself just a little bit from how excited you actually are. But it was just perfect. Everything ended on time so that we could watch it together. And the room was full of fans. You can really, even with 10, 15 of us there, you can get the energy and how excited everybody was just to be there in the moment. I think everybody's probably going to remember this night for a little while if you are a Wild fan.
Indeed. We're at a Kentucky Derby seminar with 100 and change people there waiting for spotties, and you roll in with your Wild sweater. So,
well, yeah. What else am I going to wear on that night? Come on now. Maybe Wolves gear would have been acceptable, but one or the other.
Yeah, I had the Wolves covered with my pullover. Maybe a Thunder Gulch sweater or something like that to celebrate Derby's gone by. With the Minnesota Wild, Angela, do you have a favorite player? And if so, who is it?
I was thinking about it, and it just truly because of the effort that they put in, just name one. They are putting in such a team effort from top to bottom. It's hard not to say it's Boldy right now, just the way that he's performing, but up and down the line, everybody's contributing, and it's really the team that's so fun to root for right now because the scoring can come from anywhere, and the defense is coming from all of them too.
So if you're Coach John Hines, what would you prefer to do? What do you think is easier to do? Saying Zuki or playing Zuki?
I always love that one.
Which one?
I got to say probably both. Even when Zuki is poking his head into the locker room when he's been scratched for a game, he seems like a key part of that room in a lot of ways. He seems like a pretty fun guy to know. I would have fun saying Zuki. If I have fun saying it, why wouldn't he?
Zuki. To the Kentucky Derby at Angela Hermann 15 via X. Longtime friend of yours truly's, along with employee at Canterbury Park, elite handicapping mind. And Angela in the Kentucky Derby at 5:57 Central tomorrow. Watch and wager, be a part of racing history at Canterbury Park, canterburypark.com. You like number 12, Chief Wallaby, to win tomorrow. Why?
Oh, and I know Kevin is so excited that I am on board with Chief Wallaby, but he comes from, I think, the best pipeline of horses this spring. Now, horses get ready for this race in different parts of the country. You get a contingent from California, you get them from Louisiana, New York, but the horses from Florida not only performed well and put in good, strong races, but went elsewhere and also stood that form up. So Chief Wallaby, only being in the fourth start of his career, is going to get blinkers and is less than a length away from being 3 for 3. I thought he would be a better price than the alternative, that being the winner of the Florida Derby, Commandment. And the Puma, the horse that finished second between those two, was another interesting horse that I think might be a touch over bet, but these two should be similar on the board. And the Puma is the number 9. So 9 and 12 worth considering along with the Commandment, but all three of them really put on a show this spring in Florida.
All right. So given the amount of time you and I will either text, talk, see each other or whatever, I do recall there was a point earlier in the year you mentioned to me something about a horse named Golden Tempo. All right. And I don't know if you still like the horse or not. And hopefully I'm not mistaking this with somebody else. But this one's 30-1 on the morning line. This one may be a monstrous price. It's number 19, Golden Tempo. Am I right? Do you like that horse at all?
Yes, correct. I did have a couple of future bets. I'm sure there's others out there listening who have some future bets. And you make them because you think your horse is going to tank in price. And with Chief Wallaby, it did. With Golden Tempo, it went the opposite way because he's had some pretty ideal setups. He's run 4 times, and he has run in Louisiana this spring. But he comes from so far off the pace. We talk about it with the favorite Renegade. When you give yourself that much to do and that many horses to get around, it just puts you a little bit behind the 8 ball. And Golden Tempo gets an outside post. He does have some hot connections. Jose Ortiz and Cherie DeVoe have been firing on all cylinders at the Churchill meet. Golden Tempo's been looking good, but I think he might end up being a horse that you'll want to watch maybe this summer by the time he's figured some more things out.
Angela, how, just with a very, very casual horse racing audience listening right now, I mean, we want you to come to Canterbury when we open May 23rd, 3 days a week of racing, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, canterburypark.com. But a lot of people, they come to Canterbury for the Kentucky Derby, and that may be it for the year. So there are a lot in the crowd listening now who are of that variety. How do people bet on the Derby at Canterbury Park? Like, you can bet on it today if you can't make it tomorrow. And when do we open tomorrow?
Tomorrow we will open bright and early. So if you want to come out about 8:30, you can come and the machines will be on. You can make bets on your own. We will have tellers. You can bet it in advance today. People are already betting. If you have a Derby party to go to, no problem. Just make sure that you come to Canterbury, say, I'd like to bet Kentucky Derby advance, and then just go through the card. It'll be matched up with each race that you'd want to bet. There's a fantastic undercard to go along with the Derby, which is race 12 on Saturday, if you do want to bet it. There's a lot to pick from underneath there. The stars are really coming out to play. You're going to see names like Knightsbridge. You're going to want to follow him all year. There's going to be some really, really good horses and some cool wagers that go along with them, too. So if you check out canterburypark.com, you can get more information on how to bet and what's going on this weekend. We have a big party on Saturday, but all of the wagers are also connected in there through KentuckyDerby.com. They have a different menu that offers some different races paired together and pick threes. Different things like that are all a part of the Derby experience. The party, the bets, the money, and hopefully some long shots to go with it, because I don't think that any of the horses that are going to be favored are going to be too strongly favored. And it looks like another great superfecta kind of race.
All right. Well, speaking of that, a couple of time for two more for Miss Angela Hermann. What is the best way to bet the Kentucky Derby? I mean, trifectas top 3, superfectas top 4. Those could pay thousands of dollars for a small monetary investment. So how would you advise the casuals to play tomorrow's Kentucky Derby?
I'm going to say give yourself some wiggle room with 4 horses and start to key around those horses with exactas, trifectas. If you can box up 4 horses in a trifecta for 50 cents, cost you $12. And some of the prices that you can include in there will be giant. Now, there are some scratches. Inevitably, some prices will come down, but I could recommend maybe the 16 Pavlovian. He's going to be a big price. He has some speed. We already talked about Golden Tempo. There's lots of horses like that you can pick from that all their previous races have been like 5-2. And here you're going to get double digits on all of them because they land in the big one. And as far as the superfecta, I mean, it was $1 minimum, and usually when you bet a superfecta, it's a 10-cent minimum. So that naturally elevates the payout on that. It's extremely difficult. There's a super high 5. I would say stick with exactas, trifectas to start out with, because even if you only use 4 horses and make a small investment, a race like the Derby can really make those pay.
Beautifully laid out. CanterburyPark.com for information. Last one. Live racing in Shakopee at Canterbury begins May 23rd. What excites you about that?
Everything. Kind of like the Wild. Everything about it. It's summer. I'm a summer person. We've been sitting inside all year. We want to get out. We want to get into the sunshine. We want to see the horses. We want to see everything that comes with our live season. And it could be a continuation of some big time sports action too. How cool would it be if we opened up our season and there's still some vying for championships going on in Minnesota? I mean, the energy in here will be off the charts. I can't wait for opening day. It just seems to creep up on us every year, but man, it's been flying by this spring especially.
Fantastic as usual. And I'll see you out there a little later today. Thanks for the time, Angela.
I look forward to seeing you, and good luck to everybody this weekend in the Derby. Go Wild, go Wolves.
Appreciate you, Ange. See you later. Angela Hermann, an analyst with us at Canterbury Park. She and Kevin Gorg are the analysts. I call the races, and we've all been together for quite some time. Very close covenant. At Angela Hermann 15 via X. At Angela Hermann 15 via X. All right, back to the fantastic voyage with the Wolves and the Wild and the Wild and the Wolves. We'll begin it with the voice of Ball Arena for Colorado Avalanche games and U.S. Bank Stadium. Alan Roach joins 9 to noon.